Joining us now from Chicago is Lulu Flores, a Democratic representative from the Texas State House. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being here with us. You are there in Illinois. How long do you plan to stay?
We're here in Illinois, correct, and we plan to stay as long as it takes. You just heard that the special session lasts till August 19th. That's the very least time that we expect to be out here.
Don't come back, Lulu, if that's your real name. Lulu Flores, the Democrat Party. Aren't they great? Ba-da-ba-da-ba, Now in Maryland, the great state of Maryland, perhaps you've heard of it. The front page of the Baltimore Sun today has the story. It turns out that in Maryland, they have 8 seats. The state of Maryland has 8 seats in the House of Representatives. 7 of them belong to Democrats. One of those 8 seats belongs to a Republican whose name is Andy Harris. He's very what used to be called a moderate, kind of go along to get along Republican from Maryland, Andy Harris. I'm sure he's a very nice man. The Democrats have 8 seats. The state has 8 seats. The Democrats have 7 of them. Front page of the Baltimore Sun today is that a Democrat in the State House named David Moon, like the Reverend Sung Young Moon, David Moon. He's planning on introducing legislation that would allow them to redistrict out that one Republican seat so that no Republican would ever be elected in the future of the state of Maryland. They want slavery back, too. You know how they are, those Democrats. They live in another century most of the time. Just amazing. Now, in the presidential election between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, where is Kamala? We need more Kamala, don't we? Kamala Harris got 62% of the vote, and Donald Trump got 34% of the vote in the state of Maryland. And that's more than a third of the state, the voters in the state. But because the Democrats have dominated Maryland state politics for so long, they've gerrymandered the hell out of the state and squeezed it like a turnip. I don't know why a turnip, but why not? Squeezed it like a turnip and squeezed the life out of the state so that a Republican barely has a chance. But Andy Harris managed to eke out a victory for a seat in Congress. And now the Democrats have announced their intention to act like the third world banana republic Taliban statue tearing down Jew firebombing fascists that they are. While they call everybody else Hitler and fascist, and then they attack the Jews and kill all the children and harvest their organs, but pay no attention to that. So the 34-62 split between President Trump and Kamala Harris, and there are 8 seats in the House of Representatives there. 7 of them already belong to the Democrats. 1 belongs to a Republican, a lone Republican, and the Democrats have announced that they plan on, maybe Molotov cocktails or something, and they're going to firebomb all that so that no Republican will ever be elected. And their excuse is, their demented child brain excuse is, oh, yeah, Texas is redistricting, so we're gonna. And in California, they're doing the same thing with Gavin Hairgel Newsom and all that good stuff. Just these people. When's the last time they fired on Fort Sumter? It's been a while, hasn't it? All right, speaking of which, let's go to, because this is, and once again, welcome back to the Chris Plant Show. We continue to be reachable at 888-630-9625. The headlines, and I got another story to tell, too. I didn't bring in my Washington Post today. I normally bring in my hard copy of the Washington Post, but something funny happened. The day before yesterday, our newspaper didn't show up at our front door. And I've talked about this, how our newspaper delivery guy is great. And, we live in a building, and that means we're one door in a hallway. And our newspaper delivery guy, who we always give a big Christmas bonus to, the newspaper is always, I'm like throwing a paper. I'm doing the arm motion like I'm throwing a newspaper. The guy You got to take an elevator or a lot of stairs and come in and throw the newspaper at our door. And when I open my front door, there it is right there, inches from my toes, sometimes leaning against the door. Even though it's thrown, it's always a perfect throw, right? That's great. I'm like, man, this guy's good. And so we always take care of him at Christmas. And he's been doing it for years. And we didn't get our newspaper at our front door day before yesterday. Like, that's quite peculiar, isn't it? And then we went down to the lobby. We were leaving the building. And there's our newspaper over there. How do we know it's our newspaper? Our apartment number was written on it with a pen, right? And that's normally not the case because it's already right at our door, so there's no mystery associated with that. So that's interesting. Then yesterday, no paper at our door again. And yesterday evening, my brother visiting from Chicago, taking my brother out for a beer yesterday, and just going, on the block. And so we're leaving. And a guy in our building said, hey, that's your newspaper over there. I said, what? Walked over at the only newspaper in the lobby, and it's got our apartment number written on it again. Said, isn't that interesting? And then my neighbor told me, oh, yeah, the Washington Post announced they just increased their rate a couple of months ago very significantly, the cost of the newspaper to be delivered. And my building guy said, oh, yeah, the Washington Post has announced that they're not delivering inside buildings anymore. They're not going to bring the paper to your door. They'll leave it in your lobby and then screw you, come get it yourself. All right? GFY, I think, is their message from the Washington Post. So last night I told my best girl this, and she was having none of it, I tell you, and got on the internet and canceled the delivery of the Washington Post as of, I think, today or tomorrow is our last paper. Either today or tomorrow is our last newspaper delivery of the Washington Post after I've been having it delivered for like 35 years. And they've made it so difficult and so expensive and so annoying and so offensive. And I only use it to mock and ridicule and make fun of and find the stupid lies that they're telling. I think you can still do that online. Can't you still do? It's better when you have the hard copy of the paper because you see how they lay it out and what their lead lie is and their second lie, and then some of them are sectional and some of them are metrosectional. But that's amazing. So we had to stop that. It's at long last, and it's probably long overdue, of course, because they died a long time ago. The Washington Post. They're firing people. They're laying people off all over the place and giving them buyouts. But if Donald Trump should offer buyouts in the government, then it's a front page story that it's a really terrible thing to do while they are literally doing it themselves inside the walls of the very building where they're writing the story condemning Donald Trump for doing the same thing because of the very serious mental issues that it seems virtually every Democrat in the country is suffering from. And I say that with care because I care very deeply for them. All right, so let's get back to so I didn't bring my Washington Post in today. But they're very upset. I know they are. I went down to the lobby. I was wearing pajamas, but I put on regular shoes to go down and get the paper and bring it back to my best girl. And I looked at it, and it is, Trump bad, Jews bad in Israel. And what was the picture? Somebody was suffering. Oh, I think Gaza bad, and because Hamas is good and Israel is bad. You know, that stuff. And Trump bad, whatever the Trump bad story is today on the front page. All right, but let's get back to the Democrats who are trying to steal our democracy and destroy civilization and kill all your children. I'm sorry, just using the Democrat Party rhetoric here. They are harvesting the organs of 1 million unborn children this year, and then they give themselves awards for it. They literally do. Lucite blocks and small metallic statuettes. Let's go to soundbite number 3. It is Texas Governor Greg Abbott, because the Democrats they're fleeing Texas. The elected Democrats in the State House in Texas, they're fleeing Texas aboard a private chartered jet. And I've looked at news story after news story where none of the fake news media people mention that the Democrats fled while they're standing up for the little guy. Aboard a private chartered jet that probably cost $100,000 to charter so they could flee. They couldn't just go Delta, anything like that. I know there are big airports in Texas. I've flown in and out of a number of them. But that's not important. They chartered a private jet, and then they posed in front of the private jet, and they held a little bit of a press conference under the tail section of the private jet, and they had chairs set up for themselves so they didn't have to stand very long before they boarded the private jet to fly to Illinois, which had already gerrymandered Republicans almost out of existence. The Republicans, I think they went from 5 seats in the House down to 2 or 3 seats in the House after the Democrats gerrymandered. And somehow, even with a population loss in Illinois, the Democrats gained a seat in the House when the Democrats gerrymandered. And the Republicans lost, I think, 2 seats in the House of Representatives because the Democrats are criminals, not just in Illinois, but sometimes particularly in Illinois, where the Democrat Speaker of the House, Mike Madigan, a long time Democrat, very powerful Illinois politician, Mike Madigan, Speaker of the House, Democrats in charge, and Mike Madigan was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison earlier this year for his years and years of corruption that everybody knew was going on. And that's fine with the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune and the Chicago Sun-Times, and that's fine with the American news media because they're filthy, corrupt people. They're in the wrong business while the Democrats know they're in the right business. So we got that. But here is the governor of Texas. And again, the Democrats fled the state in a private jet to Illinois to meet up with the billionaire governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, known as Circumference. That's the British royal family, I think, named. I think it was Queen Elizabeth. She knighted him as Circumference, tapped his shoulders with the sword. So, and now the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, wants them arrested. That's the headline. And it's kind of fun. Why Texas Democrats fled the state. And governor wants them arrested. The politicians boarded a private jet to blue states in an attempt to block a Republican plan to gerrymander the congressional map, which, when in Massachusetts, they gerrymandered the congressional map, which the Democrats did very conveniently, and nobody in the news media cared anywhere. They eliminated every Republican seat in the state. Every Republican seat in the state. And that's just fine. There are no Republicans from Massachusetts in the House of Representatives. And the media, that is to say the Democrat Party, they are fine with all of that. They are good with that. They only care about George Floyd. What do they care about? Just amazing stuff. All right, so let's get to Governor Greg Abbott, because he's a Republican, and the Democrats, they call him Governor Hot Wheels because he is confined to a wheelchair ever since he was crushed by a tree and paralyzed from the waist down.
Democrats are freaking out because they are realizing Texas has the authority to redistrict, and we're going to do so in a way that's going to lead to these additional seats that will vote Republican, and they will be serving in Congress in the next session. And so Democrats are freaking out about it, engaging in rhetoric, but I don't think they have the capability of actually living up to it and doing anything about it.
All right. I don't think they have the capability of living up to actually doing anything about it. That's pretty good, I've got to say. And Governor Greg Abbott is a smart man, a good, capable man. Unlike Congressman Al Green, not the singer, Congressman Al Green, who's a Democrat, and the English language, I think it's his first language, but it's hard to tell.
If they succeed in Texas, they will take this to other states. They will take this to the county court level. They will take this to the commissioners, the school boards. They will take this across the length and breadth of the country, but they'll do it if we only stand by and watch them.
If we only stand by and watch, that doesn't make any sense, does it? Grammatically speaking. Now, again, the people in Massachusetts, the Democrats, President Trump won about 40% of the vote in Massachusetts. There are 9 congressional districts in Massachusetts, every one of them owned by a Democrat in perpetuity because of the gerrymandering that the Democrats perpetrated. In Maryland, there are 8 congressional districts, one because the Democrats gerrymandering, 1 occupied by a Republican, and they've just announced they're going to gerrymander that 1 seat out of existence because they are the third world. They're not liberals. They're the left. They're fundamentally communists, and they are here to destroy democracy, which is why they're using the Russian playbook and yelling, the Republicans are going to destroy democracy, while they're actively destroying democracy. You know, the big wireless companies are pulling one over on all of us. It's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. I made the switch to consumer cellular, getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide, big wireless coverage, same towers, same connectivity everywhere you go, but without the big wireless cost at the end of every month. It's not just about saving money at the end of every month on the bill, but that does count. It's about not being used and abused by the big, arrogant cell phone companies. Do you even know how much data you use every month? Probably not. Most people over 50 use less than 8 gigs of data in a month, but Big Wireless wants to shove you into an unlimited plan because they're going to redistribute your money to cover the cost of younger people who use 10 times as much data as you use. So if you're not using all that data, then you are the one being used by the big wireless companies. Had enough of that? Time to switch to consumer cellular. They set me up with a service and a beautiful phone, and it was just, it's a joy. It's so easy to switch, too. You call, you speak to an actual human being, not a robot, based right here in the United States, not on the planet Krypton, and no robots, none of that. People here in the United States who are helpful. Only takes about 20 minutes. Then you save money every month. Give them a call today and make the switch. 1-800-760-0702. That's 800-760-0702. Yeah, so the Democrats, they're going to steal every congressional seat they can, and the media is going to help them, and they're going to lie to us. Lies of omission, lies of commission. Oh, there's nothing to see here when the Democrats do it in Massachusetts, in Illinois, in Maryland, in California. Pay no attention to that. The Republicans announce what they're going to do, and now the Democrats they're arming up and fixing to fire on Fort Sumter.
It is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. I just talked about how we canceled our Washington Post delivery at long last, probably long overdue. They're laying people off, giving them buyouts. Jonathan Capehart, one of their radical left-wing, extremist, cross-dressing leftists, he took a buyout, and he's very angry. He said they wanted him to be positive and like America, so he had to leave.
There was just not going to be any room for a voice like mine, especially when we were told that we would have to be unapologetically patriotic in talking about the positive things happening in the country. How can you talk about the positive things happening in the country when the rest of the house is engulfed in flames and the foundation is flooding?
I think he meant crumbling. Foundation doesn't, or the basement floods, the foundation crumbles. The New York Post is expanding. The New York Post is expanding to California.
We're dealing with an egomaniacal person, and I promise you, this president is going to, he's going to be brought down.
What?
He's going to be brought down.
Going to shoot him again?
He has to be brought down. And I don't mean physically. I'm talking about politically. We will bring him down.
Yeah, we will bring him down.
He will be impeached again.
That's what's
thank you.
Applaud. Hey, it's Al Green. Just sing that one song that you did. It was real good. Congressman Al Green, he should retire to a third world country to steal from the Treasury there. The Democrat Party is the third world. The left is the third world. And today's Democrat Party is the left. And they've got all these idiots. I want to get to a number of other absolute idiot pieces of audio that I want to share with you. And that's Al Green, of course, played another one. And then what is it? What was the word that he mangled there?
We're dealing with an egomaniacal person.
An egomaniacal person. Now, a manacle is like a handcuff, right? Is like that's a manacle, something you'd put a prisoner in manacles on the wrist. He's egomaniacal. I think that the congressman from Texas was attempting to use the word egomaniacal, but that he's not intelligent enough. He's not learned enough. He does not have a sufficient command of the English language to correctly articulate what pass for thoughts. Egomaniacal. I don't think I've ever heard the word egomaniacal mangled in that way. I've been spending a lot less time in the third world lately, though. Isn't he amazing? And that's your Democrat Party. All right, let's go to Governor Hairpiece. Let's go to California Governor Gavin Newsom, where they also have violated every American tradition in gerrymandering the hell out of the state and violating the agreement that the Democrats reached with then Republican governor and movie star Arnold Schwarzenegger when they agreed under Arnold Schwarzenegger to keep redistricting practices to a nonpartisan process. We'll maintain going forward. The Democrats and Republicans agreed under the leadership of Republican Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, of all people, that going forward, the process in California would forever be bipartisan. And Gavin Newsom firebombed that with a Molotov cocktail and yelled some anti-Semitic stuff. I just threw in the anti-Semitic stuff. And they said, to hell with that. We don't agree to anything. We're going to redistrict as we please. And they see Texas redistricting. That's it. That's it. And CNN is attacking him actively right now. And they're not talking about what Maryland is doing, what Massachusetts long ago did, what Illinois long ago did, what California has already done and plans to continue doing. They don't tell the truth. CNN and Wolf Blitzer, who I've known for 35 years, don't tell the truth about these matters because these matters require, when you go to these fake fact checkers, they say, needs context. And then you provide the context, and usually it's Democrat Party talking points. Isn't that amazing? All right, let's go to Governor Gavin Hairgel Newsom.
They've triggered this response.
And
we're not going to roll over. And we're going to fight fire with fire.
Fire with fire. Maybe, maybe you should find another turn of phrase since so many Democrats that you firebombed the Jewish governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. You've firebombed police departments all over the country, multiple occasions, burned more police cars than I could possibly count, than anybody would have been capable of counting during your hundreds and hundreds of riots from coast to coast over St. George of fentanyl, who you guys have turned into a deity on par almost with Barack Obama, who can slow the rise of the oceans. Not that you're a Jonestown-like cult or anything like that, but you guys chug the Kool-Aid like pros. You really do. So wait a minute, you're gonna firebomb it? Triggered. They're triggered. We're not gonna roll over. We're gonna fight fire with fire. Honestly, firing on Fort Sumter can't be far away. And here comes New York Governor Kathy Hochul. She's a Democrat too, and they've gerrymandered the hell out of the state of New York too, and they're good with that. And the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN are good with that. And they're intellectually lazy, journalistically lazy. They don't choose to be well informed. They choose to be ignorant, like Democrats tend to be. Here is Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul, and some are saying that she adopted some kind of a fake Texas accent or Southern accent or something.
I have news flash for Republicans in Texas. This is no longer the Wild West. We're not going to tolerate our democracy being stolen in a modern-day stagecoach hoist by a bunch of law-breaking cowboys. If Republicans are willing to rewrite these rules to give themselves an advantage, then they're leaving us no choice. We must do the same.
Yeah, you leave it no choice. Yeah. Now, honestly, I'm waiting for them to announce they're bringing back slavery because they're going the way of the Confederacy. The Democrat organization called the Confederacy. Isn't that amazing? And in New York, they've long since taken care of all the gerrymandering that they can handle because it's not that easy. It takes time, and they get to it, and then you want to undo it. The Democrat Party is a very corrupt party. Very, very corrupt party. Yes, sir. How many House seats? They have 12 House seats, don't they, in the state of New York? And at 1, 2, 3 Republicans. Is that right? 1, 2, 3 Republican seats out of 12. And in Maryland, and so they got to fight fire with fire, firefight with firefight, firebomb with firebomb. Except you guys are the ones firebombing everybody and self-immolating all over the place, too. There hasn't been a good Democrat Party self-immolation lately. It's been too long, hasn't it? It's been too long. Makes me want to sing. So yeah, this isn't the Wild West, and you stole. She says stole. There's no stagecoach heist by cowboy Republicans. I got an idea, Democrats. Stop shooting people, and we'd be Sweden overnight. We'd have the homicide rate of Norway if Democrats had all of their guns taken away. They'd just go steal more because they're Democrats. Democrat Party is the party of crime. Speaking of the party of crime, here's Jasmine Crockett. She is a left-wing radical dimwit from Texas as well, like Al Green. Jasmine Crockett has a better command of the English language, but she chooses not to use it. She went to private Catholic schools growing up, and the nuns will teach you the value of the language, but she chooses not because she's keeping it real, you know. But here's Democrat Congressman Jasmine Crockett, and she's the one that calls Governor Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels, and then laughs because he's confined to a wheelchair after having his back broken and a tree collapse as a result of weather while he was jogging many years ago and paralyzed from the waist down. So she mocks him, and the news media, they applaud. Oh, that's Hot Wheels. Oh. And on CNN and MSDNC, they invite her around, and they don't say, don't you think that's out of bounds? No, they applaud it. They want more of that. They're filthies. Filthies, that's one of the words used to describe them. They should never be invited anywhere for dinner or where they might be compelled to appear in polite company because they're not polite company. Jasmine Crockett.
Now, let me say, this governor talks a lot of noise, and I made sure that I put up my warrant from 4 years ago to make it plain that they talk a lot of noise, but these guys are weak. That's why they're over here trying to bully people. Bullies are always weak. The difference is
right.
They expect Democrats to kind of be the nice guys that we are.
Oh, yeah.
They expect us to take the punch and say thank you. Well, I am here to tell you not only are we going to punch back, but we're about to beat you down. That's right. Yeah. We're going to win.
We're going to punch back. We're going to beat you down. We're going to win. No, that's the opposite of the truth. Republicans are finally looking up and saying, hey, look what the Democrats have been doing in state after state for decades, where in Massachusetts, about 40% of the population voted for Trump, and they have 0% of the House seats because of the way the Democrats gerrymandered. Where in Maryland, there are 8 congressional seats, and the Democrats have gerrymandered the hell out of it. President Trump got more than a third of the votes in Maryland, and they have 1 congressional seat, which they've already announced they're going to gerrymander out of existence, and then they're going to blame Texas like children, because I've been saying for years they have the brains of children, and we're going to punch back. No, actually, it is Republicans punching back. You guys have been firebombing and attacking and beating the police and defunding the police and performing genital mutilations on children for so long that decent, normal people are finally standing up and saying, enough of this. If this is what they think is normal, then let's give them a taste of their own medicine. And that is, President Trump, counterpuncher, famous for being a counterpuncher. But the Democrats, now we're going to have to, and they do this, I've pointed this out in the past too, where they provoke and provoke and provoke and provoke. And then if you speak up and say, oh, that's it, now you've crossed the line. Now we're going to have to burn the governor's mansion down with Molotov cocktails. Jasmine Crockett. And here comes Jasmine Crockett. There's an online marketplace or whatever you call it called Temu. Temu. It's Temu. And you go to this website to buy stuff inexpensively, high-quality products at a low, low price. And here's Jasmine Crockett with the usual Democrat Party stuff, keeping in mind that the Nazi Party in Germany was called the National Socialist German Workers' Party. It was in Germany, we knew that. It was national and then international. We knew that. It's the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany under Adolf Hitler, and Jasmine Crockett is a socialist.
They understand the importance of standing for what democracy is and making sure that it does not fall by the wayside.
Yeah,
they
right.
understand that we have a Timo Hitler in the White House right now that thinks that he is going to become the dictator of the United States.
Yeah. Wow. Little Eva Braun over here. She doesn't know who Eva Braun is. I'm confident in saying that out loud. This is the Democrat team, the old Timo Hitler. The little fascists who are attacking Jews on every college campus, who are inviting jihadis into the United States and fighting for them in immigration court when they're organizing genocidal anti-Semitic organizations on Ivy League college campuses, right? When they're firebombing the governor's mansion of the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania, when they're literally harvesting the organs of more than 1 million babies in the United States every year that are sacrificed, to the gods of climate or whatever they're. Then they have the temerity, the Timu temerity, to call anybody Hitler. Pretty amazing stuff. This is the Democrat congresswoman who also referred to President Trump in terms that we had to bleep.
The Supreme Court has paved the way for half the stuff that we see that's going on. Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Okay, we know that. Yes.
You know that.
He is. He is.
Ghetto.
He is.
The ghettoization of the American government.
In a functioning democracy, he
Third
still
world.
would not be able to get away with this. But he's been able to get away with this because the House Republicans are complicit. But most importantly, the courts, especially the Supreme Court, is complicit. And so I think one of the places that we have to start is we are absolutely, they are the highest court in the land, and they have no ethics guardrails.
Chuck Schumer, the Lizard King, also threatened members of the Supreme Court. Now, keep in mind that Donald Trump has been shot once already by a Democrat who, the dishonest Democrat on my television show, loves to pound the table and say he was a Republican. The idiocy of the Democrat Party. No, the Democrat Party was orchestrating and organizing a monkey-wrenching operation in the state of Pennsylvania where they instructed the faithful to register as Republicans to vote in the Republican primary to elect the least electable Republican so the Democrats could win. And that's what the would-be assassin did in Pennsylvania at the request and instruction of the Democrat Party. He registered as a Republican to vote in the Republican primary to do as much damage to the Republican Party as possible. He also gave money to Act Blue, Thomas Crooks, the would-be assassin. So President Trump shot once. One would-be mass assassin shot Congressman Steve Scalise on a baseball field in Alexandria, Virginia, his goal with his Chinese communist rifle. And he was a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer that did it. James Hodgkinson wanted to murder the entire Republican baseball team. Another assassin, would-be assassin, was arrested outside the home of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who planned on murdering 3 Supreme Court justices. And it is precisely this rhetoric that has created these extremely dangerous Civil War-like conditions in the United States of America from people like the dim-witted Miss Crockett. He's a piece of bleep, and the Supreme Court and Timu Hitler and beat you down. And that's just one of the many members of Congress. Again, the Senate leader was the guy who incited the violence against the Supreme Court. And they continue to dial up the rhetoric because they're so hungry for political power that they would burn your town down for one more seat in the House of Representatives. Hey, I want to talk to you about better living in your digital life, online and your phones and all that stuff, with one of our newest partners. We love our partners, and we love WebRoot. WebRoot is just great. I chose WebRoot because of the Total Protection product. WebRoot's all-in-one package offers plans and different options for individuals, allowing up to 5 devices to be covered with your plan, or up to 10 devices for a family package, and they have you covered no matter what. WebRoot's coverage includes antivirus and identity protection, VPN, backup, and a whole lot more. You don't need to be an adult either because, kids are online and kids have phones. WebRoot wants to make sure your entire family is protected, whether you've got a toddler on the phone or on an iPad, a student at college, a senior citizen living at home. WebRoot allows for my best girl and I to live a better digital life, and that's why I want to recommend that you do the same thing with WebRoot. Get 50% off right now with WebRoot's Total Protection or WebRoot's Essentials plan. And all you have to do is go to webroot.com/plant. That's me, Plante. Again, that's 50% off WebRoot because you and I hang out together. Total Protection or WebRoot's Essentials plan when you get webroot.com/plant. There it is. Yeah, the Democrat Party, they're dialing up the insanity. They're all Hitler. She's really kind of like a rubber suit Ava Braun, I think, with a riding crop and some kind of electric cattle prod. And that's just in Congress.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
And I haven't gone to, I don't have a lot of time, but let's go to a telephone call because I haven't talked to anybody in a long time. Let's go to Dean, calling from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Dino, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, great to talk to you. As you say, the Democrats are immature. In Texas, they know they can't win if they stay, so they've decided to take their ball and go home, except that, in this case, they've gone to Illinois. But this is not a precedent. It happened a number of years ago in Wisconsin. The legislators left there because for the very same reason. And Governor Scott Walker had to threaten arresting them to get them to come back. It's the same situation. They're being children. They know they can't win properly. They're outvoted, and so they're just not going to participate. Now, they spend a lot of money traveling. They're costing the state of Texas a lot of money because they've got the special session going. They want to wait it out. What's going to happen?
Well, they know that the news media has always got their back from coast to coast, and as Democrats say, and all points in between, because they think that's not automatic.